Want to hear a joke? It's a dad joke, which means it's a bad joke, which means you might not laugh. Also, I did not write it, but I want to tell it to you, and maybe you've heard it before. All right, all of that said, I just ruined everything. I broke every comedian's rule there is, right? But anyway, here's the joke. A pastor stands in front of his congregation at the church, and he says to the congregation, "Somebody in here is possessed by an owl." A lady in the front row says, "Who?" So today we're going to paint an owl. There's the owl we're going to paint. It's the great horned owl. And I incorporated cool and warm colors. And I'll show you how I did that right now. Okay, good morning. Let's do this owl. I think this owl should be almost the whole page here. Maybe on this side. I want it slightly to one side, maybe slightly to this side. So let's just do the top of the owl's head. Just some sketch marks here. He's got those tufts. I understand that those tufts are not ears. And I also heard that it's not understood what they're used for by the owl. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? I like the way his eyes go. So we got the tufts, we got this side here, we got over here, the big ol' eyes, big ol' eyes. By the way, I absolutely am using a reference photo. You know, the question about do I use reference photos comes up quite often. I think the across the board answer for me is I almost always use reference photos. It's kind of hard to do, especially an owl or something. You know, you could do it from memory, I suppose, but you would be missing a lot. So, and the owl has a couple different layers here. He's almost like he's scowling, almost like he's frowning. So I'm going to get his face here. Yeah, this is mostly the face of the owl more than anything else. He's got this come down here. He's got his head cocked just a little bit. Got a little tuft right there. He's got that beak. His beak is unbelievable. It doesn't look like it's that menacing, but I watched the video and he grabbed the mouse. Just to be honest, that's what he did. He grabbed the mouse and he got the mouse like in a flash. I mean, he came down so fast. Got that mouse. So we got several different layers here. We got the eye itself. We got the middle of the eye. And we got this part outside of the eye. It's a little bit darker. And a little bit darker over here. It goes all the way out here. Okay, I think we got that. And then his eye, let's see if I got this right. Here's that part. His beak starts here. have to erase some of that so I don't confuse myself later on. So I remember one day I was going to work. I used to work in the early morning, kind of like I do now, but back then I had a boss, and I had to get to work very early. Let's see, I don't think I have something right here. I think this peak starts here. But anyway, I was driving, just started driving. I was on my block, just about a block away from my house. Let me just make sure I get this right before I keep going. And I had a cat at that time, and my cat's name was Which One. I know that sounds funny. It was Wichun. That was kind of just a silly thing, because we had a dog named Who and a cat named Which One. Isn't that funny? But, my son was young at that time, and, well, there's a long story behind the name. I could tell you the story, I guess. But we'll see what happened. Okay, I'll tell you that story. So we had a dog named Mrs. Clute. This is where this goes to. We had a dog named Mrs. Clute, and Mrs. Clute got her name because I said, when we got the puppy, I said, well, we'll turn on the TV, and whatever name we hear, we'll just flip through the channels. Whatever name we hear is the name we'll give the dog. And there was a commercial, I think, for a laxative, believe it or not. And yes, it was, and the lady in the commercial was Mrs. Clute. So we said, okay, well, we'll name the dog Mrs. Clute. So we had this dog named Mrs. Clute. We had the dog for a very long time. I'm trying to think how long, maybe 15 years, I guess. And then Mrs. Clute died. Not to bring a sad element to this story, but it was a very sad thing when Mrs. Clute died. Mrs. Clute was Alex's childhood dog. Easily, he went from basically being a 1-year-old to having a dog up until he was about 16, I guess, because Mrs. Clute was 15. So anyway, yeah, so the dog of his childhood died. It broke my heart. It broke Alex's heart. And I told myself I was never going to get another dog. That was it. That was it. I missed Mrs. Clute, but I wasn't going to get another dog. And then I went to a Walgreens. I promise this is going to get to the owl story. This is going to get to the owl story. So I went to the Walgreens, and there was a young girl sitting outside of Walgreens, and she had puppies in a box, and she was giving them away. And I looked at the puppies, and I thought, no, I can't have a puppy. So I went into Walgreens. But as I'm walking around Walgreens, I'm thinking about it, And I said to God, I said a little prayer. I said, okay, God, please, if you think it's meant for me to have a puppy, then I'm going to pull a coin out of my pocket, and if it lands on heads, then I'll get the puppy. If it lands on tails, then I won't get the puppy. I reached into my pocket, and I did not have a coin, any coin in my pocket. I had nothing in my pocket. So I figured, okay, well, I guess I'm not supposed to get the dog. So I go to the counter to pay for the stuff, go to the cashier, and she gives me my change, and one of the coins in the change was a penny. And for some reason, it missed my hand. It slipped out and fell to the floor. And it didn't just fall to the floor. When it hit the floor, it spun round and round and round. I am not kidding. This is exactly what it did. And I watched it intently because I knew what I had just prayed. I had prayed for God to give me some guidance. Should I get a dog or should I not get a dog? Isn't that crazy? God has all these worries, and I'm asking him, should I get a dog? Well, anyway, I watched it, and as it spun, I promise you, this is not embellished at all. This is the true story. As I watched it spin, I couldn't believe it when it landed on heads. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go out to that young girl, and I'm going to take one of those puppies. Well, in the short time I was in the store, whatever number she had diminished, and the number of puppies had diminished, and she no longer had as many puppies as she had when I first went in there. And one of them was those three puppies were left, and I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time here. Let's see, I want a light blue here. I think I'll do a light blue. Maybe I'll do a light blue on this side. Yeah, I would do a light and cool study, I guess you call it. A light and cool. Alright, so the coin spinned and landed on heads, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go get a puppy. And I know I'm repeating everything here. So I wanted to oh my gosh, talking and painting. For some reason I'm distracting myself here. There were 3 puppies left. One of the puppies was spoken for. She said, that one is taken. The other one looked like it might be a problem. I didn't have much money, so I couldn't get a dog that needed medical help. So I took the only other dog that was there. So now, what does that have to do with the owl? Okay, so let's go. I'm getting there. What does it have to do with the owl? I know. Well, we got time. This is taking a little bit of time. So, all right, now I want to try some warm color over here. I'm just trying something here. So I get the dog, and I show Alex. I said, "Look, we got a puppy." So we're trying to think what to name it. And because the dog that had just died was Mrs. Clute, we wanted a name. I guess we did. I'm kind of drawing a blank here on this one. I think we wanted a name that rhymed with Clute. I think. You know what? I'm not even sure anymore. But anyway, long story short, we named her Who. H-U. I know, it's crazy, right? But that's what we did. And so we had Who, the dog. Okay. So then, oh, wait a minute. I think I have it backwards. Oh, I have it backwards. We were camping. Okay, we got Who. Yeah, that story is true. So just remember that story. That story is true. But that's right. We got the cat first. That's right. All right. Yeah. Okay. It was the summer before the dog died. Yeah, that's what it was. Robin got a cat. Robin's daughter found a cat, but they couldn't keep the cat. This is before Robin and I were together, by the way. So they couldn't keep the cat.
mistake here. And so they asked me if I wanted the cat, and Alex and I were getting ready to go on a camping trip. So I said, well, yeah, we'll take the cat, but we can't have the cat until we get home. Okay, now I'm remembering the story better. Give me a break. I'm getting old here. So, this is going to be a challenge here. See, that's got to be really light over there. So we had the cat, and we named. Oh, I know what it was. So I'm in the tent. Alex and I are camping, and we're in the tent, and we're getting ready to go home at the end of our little trip. And we're laying down in the tent, getting ready to go sleep. And you know how you talk before you go to sleep. So I said to Alex, "What do you want to name the cat?" And he said, "Which one?" And I said, "Oh, okay." I guess he thought we had more than one cat. I don't know what he thought. But I said, "Okay, the name of the cat is which one?" That's right. That's how the cat got her name, his name. And so we wanted to spell it Wichun. All right, now I'm almost back to the beginning of the story again. So we had a cat named Which One. That's right. And then that winter is when Mrs. Clute died, and it was that next January. It was January of 2001, believe it or not. That's when we got Who. And Who was very small, and Which One was already very big. And I was thinking the cat was going to eat the puppy, but then, the puppy became much larger than the cat later on in life. All right, I gotta stop talking so I can do this painting here. I'm gonna have to use a little bit of gouache, I think. Isn't that crazy? Can you see how that dried right there? It almost looks like it's wet, but it's not. It's dry. It dried looking wet. Can you see it? Okay. So then, now, what does that have to do with this owl? Larry, get to the point, Papa. Papa, get to the point. You're taking so long to tell your story. All right. So I had this cat named Which One. Here, we're getting to this now. And I went to work early one morning, and it was still dark out, and I saw this silhouette sitting in the road, and I thought it was Which One. And I stopped the car, and I rolled down the window, and I said, "Which One? What are you doing in the street?" Well, guess what? It wasn't Which One. It was an owl. Yes, it was. It was an owl. It was about the same size, just sitting in the road, about the same size as Which One. I told you that whole story just to tell you that. So, and I don't know if it was a great horned owl. This is a great horned owl, by the way. I'm using a photograph as reference from National Geographic, just so you know. Just want to keep this light here. So that was my story. Boy, I told all that time it took to tell that little story. And right here we want to get this beak very dark. We want to keep some light on the edge there. So I have some poems about owls too, by the way, I thought I'd share with you. I'm purposely trying to get these colors here. I know the owl isn't blue, but I'm using some blue just to create some warm and cool effect here. I'm going to keep some light here. So owls are pretty interesting animals. I was watching this video yesterday, and like I said, the one owl I watched in the video swooped down and got a mouse and ate the mouse, basically like you and I eat spaghetti. Yep, that's not an exaggeration. That's about what it was. It's kind of like the way you and I eat spaghetti. I know I've never seen you eat spaghetti, but I'm just assuming. I'm assuming I know what you look like when you eat spaghetti. That's pretty bold of me, isn't it? Pretty bold. Pretty bold. Alright. So the owl has this capacity, this God-given ability to fly stealth. Their wings are designed, according to the narration in the video, their wings are designed to be quiet. So the mouse did not know what was coming. The mouse did not know what hit him. He went from being a mouse looking for food to being food, basically. That's what happened to him. Yep. Nature is an amazing thing, right? I'm studying the bird in the, well, there's a garbage man out there. Can you hear him? Some days, I don't, jeez, he's making a lot of noise. Some days you can actually hear an owl outside. Robin and I used to hear the mourning doves, and we thought they were owls, but we learned later on that they were not owls. They were mourning doves, and we love the mourning doves. And then we learned how morning was spelled. It's not the morning like the beginning of the day. It's like they're crying. That was my owl starting to look like an owl. 21 minutes into the video already. Yeah, again, I feel like I'm more drawing than I am painting, but I'm drawing with paint. So, as I've said before, everybody has their own technique and their own way of doing things. I did so much work with pastels, and pastel is called painting, even though you truly feel like you're drawing. The whole idea here is to keep this side dark and that side light. I might need to add some of the background there just so I can get a grip on what I'm doing here. Let me go ahead and add a wash. I'm going to add a wash to it just to make it a little bit easier to see. A little bit of a wash. I'm adding purple to the mix. Purple as a background underpainting, sort of. to the wait a minute, let me get some blue. I mixed in this blue here. There we go. It's kind of a very colorful owl. That's all right. That's all right. It's not the way it is in nature. Let's try and keep it. Let's try and keep it very washed out looking. Dark but not black. Let's see. Oh, I guess it's dark. I'm gonna keep that side there lit. Yeah, this is probably the way to do it. Just give it a wash. And we'll come back to it and make those dark areas darker again. Kind of mixing blue and purple here. So, how you doing? Oh, today I have a doctor's appointment. It's 5:26 in the morning here, so it's early. I had to start the painting earlier today than it's just a little bit earlier. But I had to start it earlier because I have an appointment at 9, so I gotta get out the door. There we go. Just trying to keep these dark areas, these light areas, the light area. This is the trick. The light areas are not light, they're dark. But they're lighter than the dark. Does that make sense? They're lighter than what would be the actual dark. So I'm just trying to keep that way. Get a little bit of color right there. Okay, we're getting there. It's starting to make sense. It might not look like it right now to you, but it's starting to make sense to me. And it's obviously not nature's colors, it's Poppa's colors. Let's just hope it comes out good. So this is all dark right here. It stays dark. Okay, now let's get back to some of these darker areas again. Almost looks like he's scowling, doesn't it? All right, let me start messing with the background. And you can't even see the paint, can you? Sorry. I knocked the paint out of the picture. The background has to be very dark also. Let's do a little something over here with some of this orange. We'll spread it out over here. That way it looks like there's some trees and a little bit of hint of night. I'll just put that around them and I'll work the trees in there. I want this to be very dark. He's out in the nighttime. He's waiting to... And the funny thing is, according to the video I was watching from National Geographic, which is where I got this picture, well, the reference photo, the owl uses his hearing as much as his eyes to locate his next meal. I find it all fascinating. It's all very fascinating. Okay, come on down here like this. Okay. You can see why I thought he was a cat when he was sitting in the street. This kind of owl does look like a cat, the silhouette of a cat. I'm purposely doing this backwash here. It's so dark, but not so dark. I wanted to kind of have that reddish look so that I can put the trees in there. And we want that side of the owl to have that light coming across him. this has to happen here. He's got that edge of his tuft right there. It looks like an ear, but they say it's not an ear. See if I can make it now. Now it's easier because I have the background in place. I can sort of see what I want to do. All right, it's coming around. It's happening. Let me let that. Get this texture here. See, this is what I mean. I had to have dark, had to look dark. Light had to look dark first. First it had to look dark, and then I could put the actual dark over it. If that makes sense. Some of these places are very lit. Over here, get this wet and dark. I don't know if you can tell what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing in the texture of his feathers. Try to make it look like the owl I'm looking at in the reference photo. So you almost can't distinguish between the owl and the background. You see how that's looking light right there? So that's where I want to put the vertical lines. That'll be the trees. He's still there. I'm still getting there. I have to let some of this dry. I want to be able to see his beak. The reflection of his beak right there. This comes down, his feather comes here. The side of his body right there. Now let's go ahead and get this very light, get some of that there. Some of that light is reflecting off of him. Yeah, it takes a lot. Just a lot of layers, I think, to get this darkness to look right. Activity out there. It's not even 6 o'clock yet. 6 o'clock on a, what is today, Tuesday? It's pretty noisy out there sometimes. The road I live on is being widened, so it'll be busier. It'll be busier if they finish the construction. Let it dry. I'm going to let it dry, and I'll go ahead and read you the poem. It's called The Great Horned Owl by Mary Oliver. One morning, a large young owl shimmered in the sunlight, glided to a branch in the apple orchard. In the grass lay a half-eaten crow, still smoldering with flight. The owl leaned down and took it. There was no flurry, no kerfuffle, just a dance with death and air. Such a wild thing, this monstrous beauty. There was no reason for the owl except that it was hungry. And with a touch of shyness, he passed the dead crow from beak to talon and opened his wings to depart over the fields and the thick woods. And then I saw what he really was, just a tall boy, more nervous than hungry, skimming the grass with his talons, too eager, too careless, caught in the moon's silver snare. Pretty cool. That was by Mary Oliver. So I have another one. This one is by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It's called The Owl. When cats run home and light is come, and dew is cold upon the ground, and the far-off stream is dumb, and the whirring sail goes round, and the whirring sail goes round. Alone and warming his 5 wits, the white owl in the belfry sits. When merry milkmaids click the latch, and rarely smells the new mown hay, and the cock hath sung beneath the thatch, twice or thrice his roundelay, twice or thrice his roundelay. Alone and warming his 5 wits, the white owl in the belfry sits. Oh, kind of like that one. I think a white owl, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a white owl would be a barn owl, right? Isn't that the color of the barn owl? The barn owl is white. All right, I think that was enough time to get some things drying on here. And what do I need to do now? Oh, I need to do a wash. I need to get a blue wash on here. Let me clean the brush. Let me get the dirty water. Mix it up over here. Get a little bit of blue. Yes. Just a hint of it. I'm going to put it on this side of the owl. All the things that are white over here will be light blue. And all the things that are needing a little bit of shadow over here will get a little bit of blue also. Because I think that yellow should be just a hint. I don't want to overdo that yellow. Okay. Blues. That what was white is now just becoming a very, very light washed out blue. To make it look like he's got some backlit cool colors up against the, or in contrast to this side where it's all warm colors. Just water some of this down. Just needs a little more going on here. The background has to be dark, otherwise this picture's not going to work. Because we want the owl. The owl is a night bird, so you paint it so it looks like it's nighttime. Let me add a few more areas here that show more texture to his feathers. I think we're starting to get it to look right. thought about doing this picture all night long. Isn't it funny? I was dreaming about it. I hope you like it. We have a place here, not too far from here, where it's a bat, I don't know if you want to call it a bat sanctuary, but it's a place where they care for bats, raise bats. I'm not sure what they do. It's part of the University of Florida. And I know an owl and a bat are two different things, but it's just another cool animal. It's another one of those animals that it's amazing how they find their food. It's just another testament to how amazing God is in his creation. The ability to make so many different things that have so many different ways of surviving and finding each other for reproduction, and it's just unbelievable. There's no way we could have just happened by accident. I just don't believe that. See, he's got these very dark areas around his eyes. I want to make sure that's obvious. But it's all accentuated by the light also. I think part of the key to this guy is this texture here. Okay. Let's go back over here one more time. I still want to water this down a little bit. Water it down. Okay. I think I'm going to call it done. The great horned owl. Yeah, the trees are not bare. The trees have. I just thought about that. I don't want it to look Halloween. I don't want it to look like Halloween, but then again, why not? All right, let that sit like it is. And let me smoosh around the color on the back. The back is a mess. I kind of like when the back is a mess, to be honest with you. But I want it to be a more graduated mess. I use the back of the card as a palette, as you know. Some people have asked me on these conversations online if I do large paintings. The answer is yes. But see, for these videos, I wanted them to be real time. It's kind of hard to do a large painting in real time on a video and expect anybody to actually watch it. And the truth is, the technique for doing a large painting is no different than doing a small one. There are some obvious differences, like the brush size maybe would be bigger again. That must have been a school bus. That sounds like a bus. Wow. So yes, I do large paintings. I should show you maybe one day the prints I have made of the digital art I do. Those are large. Maybe I'll take the camera out into the living room and show you the stuff on the wall. I think that's our owl. I don't know. I think it's good enough. Maybe his eye is a little too bright. No, I don't want to mess with the eye. I think the eye belongs just like that. Alright, let me spread this out. The whole back of the card is going to be covered in dirty water. And it'll look good once I fold it. So the answer to the question, do I do large paintings? Yes, I do. I have done large acrylic, large oil, large pastel. I've not done a large watercolor, to be honest. Watercolor is something I've kind of fell in love with for these cards. But you know, there is a way to do large watercolor on board, on wood, on canvas even. I know it doesn't sound possible, but there is a gesso type of a coating you can put on it. That would be an interesting thing to show you. Maybe you'd like to see that. I'll go get some of that stuff. I think it's called compound. I can't remember what it's called. Watercolor compound. I can't remember what it's called now. But you brush it on, and then the surface of the canvas or of the wood or of whatever it is you're painting suddenly has the ability to take watercolor on and make it look like watercolor paper. So a lot of stuff happening behind him. Let's just say there's a lot of stuff happening. He's in the woods after all. Of course there's a lot of stuff. But it's very undefined. And somewhere out there there's a mouse. Do you know, I have heard owls here. I think I mentioned that earlier. And I always think about, if they're here, that means they're eating. And if they're eating, that means there's mice out there. Who knows what's out in the woods? We live right next to a wooded lot, and I've often wondered what actually lives there. I've seen bunny rabbits in there. Bunny rabbits, and squirrels. When I first moved here, I saw coyotes, but I don't see them anymore. All right, I think the key to this one is the brightness on the sides. I think we have our owl. I think if I'm fussing with it too much, it's going to mess it up. All right, let me let it dry and then I'll fold it. I'll be right back. All right, I just dried it. Now let's fold it. And I try to get it right on that line. And then we will have our owl card. The great horned owl, waiting to hear something that might sound or might seem to be tasty to him or her. I have no idea if it's a male or a female owl. Can you see it? All right, I guess I'm done. You guys have a great day. Thank you for subscribing. I'll talk to you later. Bye.